we are going to see about queue data structures programs. Okay. Quick recap, we saw about the algorithm, array, one-dimensional, two-dimensional Java programs related to simple programs, 1D arrays, 2D arrays, about linked list, single, double, and circular, Java program insertion at the beginning, at the end of the list, after the given node, and stack definition, terminologies, its representation using arrays, operation using arrays, and its representation using linked list, operation using linked list, and its applications, and Java programs like stack operation using array, stack operation using linked list, queue definition, example, terminology, its representation using array and linked list. And we saw about the binary tree data structures concepts, general tree representation, binary tree representation, the terminologies in binary tree, and the traversals of binary tree. Today is about queue Java programs. We are going to see the implementation of queue operation using arrays. So we will see about the algorithm, the Java program. We will have the algorithm for to check whether the queue is full or the queue is empty, and enqueue operation, dequeue operation, and to obtain the front value and to obtain the rear value. Finally, we'll have the pros and cons, and in the next session, I will talk about the complexity analysis. So before going to the algorithm, let's see how queue is performing its operation with the diagrammatic representation. So initially, we will have an array, an empty array, while we didn't do any insertion or deletion. This is an empty array. So initially queue is empty, and the front and the rear, it points to nothing. Now you're going to insert an element. So an element is inserted. So the front and the rear, it points to the first index. So the element will be inserted at position 0 or index 0, or if it is from 1 to 5, we'll say like index 1. So it is inserted here. Once an element is inserted, the front variable and the rear variable will point to the first or the recently inserted element at the beginning, while the queue was empty, and then you're inserting it. Now you know always insertion occurs at the rear end and the deletion occurs at the front end. So now we are inserting the second element. So the rear has to be incremented, and the rear will be incremented, and then the insertion will occur. So the rear will point to the newly placed element. So you have to increment the rear pointer from the index 0 to the index 1, and then we have to insert the element 6. So the front will remain the same because we are not doing deletion here, we are doing insertion here. So insertion always occurs at the rear end, at the back end. So you have to first change the rear end, that is you have to increment it, and then you have to do an insertion. So initially you will have an empty queue. This is an array. We are implementing queue using array. So you have an array of size 5. First I'm inserting one element. That time the front and the rear will point to 0. Front is equal to 0, rear is equal to 0, because we don't have any other elements except 5. Now we have to insert a second element. For that, we have to increment the rear pointer because insertion always occurs at the rear end. So you have to increment the rear pointer and insert the element 6. Front will remain the same because we are doing here insertion, that is enqueue operation. We are not doing dequeue operation, that is deletion. Only when we do dequeue operation, that is deletion, we will focus on the front pointer. Now, if you see, this is the current queue status. In the index 0, we have 5. In index 1, we have 6. Rear is pointing to 6. Front is pointing to 5. Now, I want to delete an element from the queue. So, an element is deleted, which front points. So, the 5 will be deleted. Whichever element the front is pointing to, that element will be deleted and the front will be incremented. First you have to delete it and then you have to increment the front. So you will delete 5 and you have to point the front to the 6th, that is index 1. Okay. So today we are going to see about the queue implementation using array algorithm. Initially the queue is empty, that is array is empty, and then you will insert that time front and rear will point to the first element which is inserted. If you have to insert the second element, you have to increment the rear index and then you have to insert the second element. If you have to delete, you have to see where the front points to, and that element has to be deleted and front has to be incremented. This is a concept. So we have to have a class to represent a queue, and we have to declare and define the method to check if the queue is full. We have two conditions to be checked. One is queue is full, that is known as overflow condition. Another one is queue is empty, that is known as underflow condition. So you have to declare and define the method to check if the queue is full, and declare and define the method to check if the queue is empty. Now, you have to declare and define the method to add an item to the queue using rear variable. Whenever we have to do an enqueue operation, we have to use the rear variable. And whenever we have to do dequeue operation, that is if you want to remove an item from the queue, we have to use the front variable. Now, in order to get the value from the rear variable, suppose if you want the value from the rear variable, you have to declare and define the method to get the rear value from the queue. And if you want to get the value from the front variable, that is front index, then we have to declare and define to get the front value from the queue. So we have to have the method for checking this queue is full or not, that is overflow condition. We have to have a method to check if the queue is empty or not, that is underflow condition. And then you have to add an item using the rear variable, that is enqueue operation using rear variable. And you have to remove the item, that is dequeue operation, from the queue using front variable. And you have to define a method in order to get the rear value from the queue. And you have to declare a method in order to get the front value from the queue. Always remember this diagram. Initially the queue is empty. Now we are implementing using array. So this is an array. So this array is empty and front and rear will point to nothing. But after insertion of one element, front and rear will point to that element. So if we are inserting the first element, it will point to that. Now insertion always occurs at the rear end. Only at the beginning of the insertion, that is first element insertion, the front and rear will point to the first element. But when you insert the second element, the rear will point to the newly placed element. You have to increment the rear and then only you have to place the element. And the front will point to the first inserted element. Because queue is first in, first out. Remember the queue in cinema theaters or queue in anywhere in restaurants. When you have a queue, whoever enters the queue first only comes out first. So always front will point to the first person who has been in the queue. So always front will point to the first element which is inserted. So this is a current status. Now we have to dequeue. So who will go out of the queue first? Who have been inserted first. So in the array, whichever value the front index is pointing to, the front variable is pointing to, that is the first element being inserted. So that will be removed and then the front will be incremented. So these are the method: full, empty, we have to enqueue using rare, dequeue using front, and then you can define a method to get the rare value, to get the front value. Before all these methods, we have to declare a class. So let's have the algorithm for declaration of class. You have to specify the class name. So class Q, this is the format. Class will have this keyword, and then you have to give the class name. Class name is Q. You have to declare the variables rare, front, and size. Now we are going to implement Q using array. So the most important variables are rare, front, and size of the array. Yes. So we have to declare the front, rare, and the size. And capacity. Capacity is whole capacity of the array, how much it can hold. For example, it can hold 10 elements. See here, it can hold 5 elements, but what is the size now? It is only 1. Only one element is there, so it is 1. So that is known as size. Size is to know how many elements are currently present in the queue, right? So for example, in cinema theater, there are 10 people standing in the queue, but the size of the queue size is around 20% can stand in the queue, but now it is only 10 persons who are standing in the queue. That is the size, but the capacity is 20% can stand in that stand, but only 10 are standing now. So to know the current elements in the queue or array, you can have size, and to know the complete capacity, you can have a capacity variable. So declaration of array variable. You have to declare the array variable. So you will have front, rare, size, capacity. That is the full weightage of that array or the queue. And then you have declared the array. How will you declare the array? You have to have a primitive data type, that is int. And then you have to have the array name followed by the square bracket. This is one-dimensional array. So for Q, you should have two variables. One is front, one is rare. And then the size, that is the elements inserted or present in the array or the queue. And the capacity is total capacity of the queue or the total capacity of the array. We are implementing queue using array. So total capacity that the array can hold. Then you have to declare a method called queue with parameter capacity. So this queue method is having the identifier, access identifier public, which is globally accessible. If I give private, it is accessible only within a given scope. But when I give public, it is globally accessible around all the methods. And int capacity. So I have passed the parameter inside the method queue, that is int capacity. This is a constructor because the class name is similar. So when you have a method which has a class name similar, it's constructor, right? So constructor with the capacity parameter. Now you have to initialize the variables. What are the values you're going to give before the insertion and deletion? So you have to initialize the variables rare, front, and size, and array with parameters inside the method. So first you have to point this dot capacity, and this dot capacity is the current capacity. So that is the capacity value you're giving to this dot capacity. Now the capacity is accessed by this dot size. So this, so if you use, it will point to the current stage, current status. For example, this is the capacity. How much? 5. How much is the size? 2. So when you give this, you can know the current status. So this dot size is equal to 0. So front is initially given 0. Rare is initially given from the capacity -1. And then arrays, because rare is always pointing to the last thing, that whoever is inserting at the recently, because insertion always occurs at the rare end. So it's always capacity minus 1. Yes, because it goes on incrementing. If I insert 7, the rare will point to here. If I insert some element like 8, rare will point here. If I insert 9, rare will point here. So the capacity minus 1 will be the initial point given to rare. So then you have array. Then you have to give the array sizes the capacity, right? So new int this dot capacity. So for all the variables which you have declared, you have to initialize that variables with some parameters or values. So this is for declaration of class. Next, we are going to algorithm for checking whether the queue is full or not. That is to check whether the condition, that is overflow condition. You have to check for overflow condition before you do an enqueue operation, and you have to check underflow condition before you do dequeue operation. Enqueue operation means insertion of element into an array at the rare index. Dequeue operation means deletion of element from the array using, or from the queue using the front index, right? And enqueue operation, there is a prerequisite. You have to check for the overflow condition, and for dequeue operation there is a prerequisite. You have to check for underflow condition. Now, for checking whether the queue is full or not, you have to declare the method with Boolean type. When you declare a method with Boolean type, it will return the result either as true or false. So in order to get those results, you have to declare with Boolean primitive data type. So Boolean is full. Full is a method name, and you're calling the class, that is queue, and for that you're giving a parameter like queue. Okay, so you have to check whether the queue size is equal to the capacity. For example, I have inserted all the elements here. Now the queue size is equal to the capacity of the array, right? So capacity is 5, queue size is also 5, then it is equal to the capacity. So you have to return queue dot size equal to queue dot capacity. So you have to check if this size of the queue is equal to the capacity of the queue. If the size of the queue is equal to the capacity of the queue, then we have to return true. But if the size of the queue is not equal to the capacity of the queue, it is false. For example, 5 elements can be stored. That is the queue size, queue capacity. And I've also stored 5 elements. That is the queue size. Now queue size is equal to the queue capacity. So we can check by this that the queue is full. So this method gives the answer whether the queue is full or not. This is used to check the overflow condition. Size means how many elements are present at the current state, and capacity is the total capacity of the array. Like you can store 5 elements. Now it is only 2. So queue size is 2. 2 is equal to the capacity 5? No. So it is not overflow. You can insert an element. Okay. Now we have to check for the queue is empty or not. Algorithm for checking whether the queue is empty or not. So that is underflow condition. So you have to declare the method with Boolean type, because to check whether the queue is full or to check whether the queue is empty, both of the methods does not return any value. There is no need of getting any values. Here you have to know whether it is true or false. So in order to know whether true or false, Boolean is the best data type. In order to know it is 0 or 1, true or false. So check if the value of the size of the queue equal to 0. If the size of the queue is equal to 0, then it will return 2. The queue is empty. Else it is false. So for example, this is a program. Boolean is a primitive data type. You have given the name is empty. Now you have given the parameter, the class. You have called the class where we have declared class, right? Q is the class name. So for that class, you are giving some parameter Q. Now with this Q, this object, Q dot size is equal to 0. If Q dot size is equal to 0, then we can come to the conclusion that Q is empty. So these are the two conditions. You have to check for overflow condition. For that, the formula is Q size is equal to Q capacity. Or you have to check for underflow condition, means Q size is equal to 0. So these are the two formulas. For overflow condition, Q size is equal to Q dot capacity, and for underflow condition, Q dot size is equal to 0. Now we are going to do NQ operation. So for that, include the argument item. You have to include the argument item as parameter in the NQ method. So as you can see, void NQ. So this data type is void because it's just inserting, it does not return anything. So you can give void. And we need not know if it's true or false. So if you give void, it does not return us anything. NQ int item. So you have given the parameter item because you're going to insert an item, right? So first you have to call the method. We have to check whether the queue is full or not. So if is full, that is this means the current status, the current pointer, this pointer, okay? Then what this means, whatever it is pointing now, okay? So if is full of this, that is the parameter you're passing for is full, okay? Then what happens, it will go check whether the Q dot size is equal to Q dot capacity. If it is full, means that condition is true, means it will return the Q. Also, or else what you have to do, this dot rare, that rare pointer, which is this pointer which you're currently pointing to, that rare pointer, in this dot rare you have to do one operation like this dot rare plus 1 percentage this dot capacity. This percentage, or you can tell it as modulus, it gives you the reminder. Why this thing means, for example, can you see here, I have removed 5. Once I remove 5, this space is blank, right? And this front will point here, next element will be inserted here, next will be inserted here, next will be inserted here. This is blank here, okay? Now when I have to insert one more element, there is no space here. What will happen, it will say like the array is full, but actually it is not full. The size is not equal to the capacity, but there is no space to fill because you're just incrementing rare plus plus. If you do rare plus plus, it will go to the next place where you don't have the index, right? So in order to go to this place, that is the first empty space after DQ operation, it has to do the modulus operation. Once if you do the modulus operation, it can go there. For example, I am pointing to, as you can see, this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Here 4, right? So 4, okay, 3 modulus or 4 modulus, the capacity is 5. So 4 modulus 5 is 4 modulus 5. You can divide 4 by 5. And then you have to get the reminder, and that reminder you have to move on. Like for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 5 elements. So this is index 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the total capacity is 5. So when the rare points to this last one, that is the final element or the final index, the index number is 5 and the total capacity is 5. So 5 divided by 5, you get 5 divided by 5, you get the reminder as 0, which will point to again the index 0, right? So you have to know the size based on the size, you have to do it. So rare plus 1 divided by the capacity. So here, what is the rare? Whatever the rare, for example, this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are the index. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. That is the index numbers. The capacity is 5. Because 5 elements you can store 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Index is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now the rare is pointing to the final index, that is 4. So you have to just do 4 plus 1 divided by 5. When you do 4 plus 1 divided by 5, then you have to go to the first place. Okay. So the first index is what? 0. Here it will come. So that is what is given here. Rare plus 1 percentage capacity. Just move the rare pointer and just increment the rare pointer, but you have to have division by the capacity, and that modulus reminder will be the rare, new rare pointer. Okay, so this dot rare plus 1. For example, if it is in the third index, then third plus 1, that is 3 plus 1 percentage, this dot capacity. So this dot capacity is 5. That will go to the rare. So next you have to do this dot array. You have to pass the rare variable. When you use this, it points to the current status of the queue. That is why we're using this operator in order to avoid confusions. You have to insert, instead of giving array of rare is equal to item, I'm just giving this because it points to the current one. This pointer means current status of the queue. So this dot array of this dot rare. So in that rare index, I have to insert the item. Now this dot size, what is the size now? You have to increment the size because you have inserted one element. Obviously, the size of the queue will increase. So you have to increment the size also. So first you have to check whether the queue is full. Next you have to so check the overflow condition, that is queue is full. If it is full, you have to do an enqueue operation. If it is full, you can't do an enqueue operation, so you have to return the queue, or else you can do the enqueue operation if queue is not full. For that, you have to increment the rare. How you will increment rare? Rare plus 1 percentage capacity. In order to avoid memory deficit, we are doing that. And you have to update the array with the item at the index. So once you do that, you have to update the size by 1 because one element has been included. So the size also will be incremented. Next, we have to do dequeue operation. The prerequisite for a dequeue operation is you have to check for underflow condition. We have to check for underflow condition. So underflow condition, whether the queue is empty, we have to check. And if it is empty, dequeue operation is not possible. So just return the queue. If queue is not empty, then you have to increment front by the formula front plus 1 percentage capacity in order to avoid memory deficit. And you have to update the array with the item at the index front. So update the size by 1. So as you can see here, dequeue, here I have used int. Why? Because you are going to return the item which is deleted from the queue, some value you are returning. So when you return a value, you have to have the method name as integer because it returns something. First, you have to check whether the queue is empty. That is underflow condition. For that, you have to call is empty, which you have declared here. Boolean is empty. That method is called here. And you're pointing, you're giving this. This means it's pointing to the current status. Suppose if it is empty, this is true. You have to give the, you have to return the minimum value, whether it is -1. Yes. Next, you have to int item. In item, we have to return this dot array, whichever the value present in the front, that will be returned into the item variable. Now you have to increment the front. So this dot front is equal to this dot front plus 1 percentage capacity. The same here. And but here what you have done, first you will increment rear and then you will insert an item. But here you have to first give whatever element is there in the front to the item and then increment the front. And then this dot size is equal to this dot size minus 1. Since one element is decremented from the queue, one element has been decremented. So from size of an array, if there are two elements in the queue, one has been deleted. So 2 minus 1, 1, right? Then you have to return the item. Now we have to get the front variable. Whatever item is present in the front variable, we have to get that item. To get that item, we have to check if the queue is empty. And you have to return the minimum integer if queue is empty. Else we'll return the value at the front index of the queue. So you want the okay, so front front and rear both are same, both have same instead of rear here you can use front. Okay, both instead of rear here you can use front. Just you have to replace that variables. Okay, and then check if the queue is empty. If you want to have the rear variable, if you want to get the rear variable, then you have to return integer minimum if the queue is empty, else you have to return the value at the rear index of the queue. So is empty, this return the integer minimum, else you have to return the value which is present in the rear. Yes. Now the pros and cons of the implementation of queue using arrays. So what is the pro of implementing using array? It's easy to implement. What is a con? The static data structure. We have a fixed size. For example, we have fixed here that it has to be 5. Yes, the size is fixed. It is static in nature. Since it is static in nature, if you want to increment or if you want to insert a new element after the fifth element, it is not possible. So if the queue has a large number of NQ and DQ operation at some point, in case of linear increment of front and rear index, here you have done a circular increment. Circular increment meaning this dot front plus 1 percentage this dot capacity. So you have done a modulus operation with the capacity. In order to maintain the empty spaces, you can insert it again. But if you have in case of linear increment, just you're incrementing without the capacity into account, then we may not be able to insert elements in the queue even if the queue is empty. So that problem is solved by circular queue. You have something called circular queue. We will see that later on. Here you have done you have used the capacity as modulus and you have done it. There is some concept called circular queue which we will see in later sessions. So today we saw a method or the complete program with different methods. First you have to declare the class. Next you have to declare for the checking the queue is full. For that we saw the algorithm empty and then NQ operation, DQ operation and front. Next class I will show you the capacity, that modulus operation, how it is done in diagrammatic representation for more clearer understanding. And we will see the concept of circular queue also. And also we will see about the binary tree, its types and its traversal in detail. So upcoming classes, we will see all these. So today we saw about array implementation using queue implementation using arrays. Now this is the output for the program. So I have NQ 10, 20, 30, 40, 10. Then I have DQ 10. So 10 was the first one which inserted into queue and 10 got DQ. So the front item which is there in the queue now is 20 and the rear item is 40. See how it is pointing to, right? So when 10 is DQ'd, it is front has pointed to 20 and rear has pointed to 40 because 40 is the latest element which has been inserted. So always insertion occurs at the rear and deletion occurs at the front. Yes. So thank you. And I have already told this book for the reference, which has a clear understanding for data structure who is a beginner. And for the expertise also, this book is really useful. If you want, you can afford it. Bye.